Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Time Lord deck. And no, I am not talking about Doctor Who, I am talking about these Time Lords that were played in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. So I'm really excited for this deck because I actually have some awesome tech cards for you guys for this deck, because I have totally teched out this deck for you guys to have an amazing time with. So, without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out that Patreon down below because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, getting your name in the description of every single video, getting a signed card sent to you in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Sadeon the Time Lord. So Sadeon the Time Lord, all the Time Lords share the ability that you can normal summon them during your turn. And if your opponent controls a monster, you can normal summon this card without tributing, and it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and neither player takes battle damage from battles involving this card. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, it inflicts 2,000 points of damage to your opponent, and then during your next standby phase, shuffle this card into the deck. All of them share the ability to shuffle them back into the deck during your next standby phase, and you can normal summon them without tributing, and they cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. All of the Time Lords share that ability, which is really cool because they have that awesome ability to do that. So, then we play 3 of the best Time Lord, in my opinion, and that's 3 copies of Yugioh, the Time Lord. Yugioh is really cool because if it's involved in a battle, then it halves your opponent's life points. That's really good, just to half your opponent's life points for free. Yes, please. And that actually makes it really easy to do things that we're doing in this deck, because you're trying to get those monsters on your side of the field so your opponent can't get through them, and usually your opponent's not going to be able to get through them because they can't destroy them by battle, and they can't destroy them by card effects, and it's just really tough to get past your Time Lord monsters. We play 2 copies of Lazion, the Time Lord. Lazion's really cool because during your main phase, if this card battles, you shuffle all cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck, and then once per turn, if your opponent draws a card, you inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent. So you just normal summon this card, leave it on the field, your opponent attacks into it, they take 1,000 points of damage just for drawing, which is funny. We then play 2 copies of Raffion the Time Lord. Raffion is really good because it can end games, because it has the ability that if this card battled, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of one monster your opponent controls. So you just target the monster with the highest attack and burn your opponent for whatever damage it had. 2 copies of Zaphion. Zaphion's really good because she has one of the most unique effects, that she has the ability that if this card battled, you shuffle all spells and traps your opponent controls into the deck, and if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can draw 1 card. That's pretty good to be able to draw that extra card, but she's the only one with that effect. I then play 1 copy of Maiden the Time Lord. Maiden the Time Lord is neat because what he does is he has the ability that if this card is involved in a battle, at the end of the battle phase, return as many monsters on the field as possible to the hand other than this card. And then, after you do, you inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent for each card returned. So that does a lot of damage just to your opponent. If they have a full board of 6, it does 1,800 points of damage to your opponent. And then finally, for the last 3 monsters, we do 3 copies of Time Maiden. Time Maiden's really good because if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then this card's treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a Time Lord monster, and you contribute this card to add a Time Lord monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand. You can banish her from the grave to special summon a Time Lord monster with 0 attack from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, which helps you out because the majority of your Time Lords, except for Sadeon, has 0 attack and defense, which is really good. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. I don't know if you guys are noticing a trend yet, but you're about to. Just wait for the traps and you'll understand why. Well, actually, wait for the spells and we'll see what we're doing. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is just to get the Time Maiden into the graveyard, which is really important for the deck. 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance, because you never touch the extra deck in this deck. You just normal summon your Time Lords and play the other cards that we have in the deck that I'm about to reveal, which is really cool. If you guys can tell what kind of deck it is, definitely comment down below. And a lot of people are not going to like a lot of people are going to like to play it, but not play against it. How about that? We then play 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Pot of Duality is really cool because it lets you activate the top 3 cards of your deck and then add one of them to your hand, but you can't special summon the turn you activate this effect. That's not a problem. All we're doing is normal summoning these anyways. And I will mention you guys, yes, these are proxies for the Pot of Extravagance. And if you want to see how to make these, I actually have a video of how to make perfect proxies. You can definitely check that out to see how to make those proxy cards for the expensive cards that you just don't quite have yet. I'm still waiting on Toon Chaos to get these. So that's something that I'm just waiting on. Then we play 3 copies of Advanced Draw. Advanced Draw lets you tribute a face-up level 8 or higher monster to draw 2 cards, which is super cool to be able to just draw those extra cards. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is the Pot of Extravagance is going to make it so you can't draw any other cards by any other effects. So you kind of have to be careful with the Advanced Draw. We then play 3 copies of Celestial Transformation. The Celestial Transformation is super nice because it lets you just get those fairy monsters from your hand onto your side of the field, and then you destroy them during the end phase. But, you know, with Time Lords, they have the really neat effect that they cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So you just special summon to your side of the field, and it's like, hey, they can't destroy them. So, haha. So you don't destroy them. So they just stay on the field, which is super cool. This is basically just free real estate. We then play, now this is where you guys are going to understand what we're playing. It's 3 copies of Wave Motion Cannon. Yes, this is a Time Lord burn deck. Wave Motion Cannon is really cool because during your main phase, you can send this card from your graveyard to inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent for each standby phase you have passed since this card was on the field. So if you pass 8 turns, 8 standby phases that this was on the field, then you win the duel, essentially. And it's really cool to be able to play Wave Motion Cannon in 2020, and I figured this was the best way to do it. I actually looked at Wave Motion Cannon when it got a reprint in Dude, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to build a deck with that. I haven't done that yet. And so I threw it in Time Lords because I figured it'd be really funny with Mikey on, halving your opponent's life points and then dropping this with 4 counters on it. You're going to win. And this deck is all about the grind game anyways, because you can summon monsters and then pass, and then they can't do anything about them, and then you pass to your turn, they shuffle back into the deck, and then you Wave Motion Cannon them and burn them for whatever damage you need to burn them for. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So the traps, we are playing 3 copies of Just Desserts, because in my opinion, it's the best burn card in the game. What it does is you inflict 500 points of direct damage to your opponent's life points for each monster your opponent has on the field. You can burn them all the way up to 3,000 if they have a full board of 6. If they have an extra link, which usually they're going to negate this card, if they have an extra link, you can burn them for 3,500 as well. I can't remember the last time I actually saw an extra link, but I will mention to you guys as well really quickly. I remember when I was a really little, and my best friend Todd and I, who actually is my co-host over on the StaringAtGames gaming channel. If you guys aren't subscribed to the StaringAtGames gaming channel, you definitely should check that out. It's right under the main page of my channel, right over there on other awesome channels. You can just click over there. We have some awesome gaming content over there. He and I used to do duels over the phone where we would call one another and tell each other how many cards we'd have in our hand, how many cards we would draw, and set cards and do stuff like that. And we had Trust where we would actually play against one another like that before you had like dueling links or duel links and duel book and all like that. And so we'd actually duel over the phone and explain to each other what we had on the field and stuff like that, and play fair back when they had like 04 Yu-Gi-Oh when it first came out. And Just Desserts was like his card, because he would flip that card on me and I'd have a full board and he'd drop Just Desserts when we played by 4,000. He would just hit me for like 33,000. He'd hit me for like 3k damage and I'd be like, oh god. When I was actually dueling with an old duel disc while I was still on the phone. Yeah, good times, guys. This card takes me down memory lane every time I see Just Desserts. So then we're playing 3 copies of Empty Machine. Empty Machine has the ability that the first time this card is on the field would be destroyed, and by opponent's effect is not destroyed. And then once per turn, you can discard a level 10 monster to draw a card. And this card is the only card in your spell and trap card zone. You can target 1 Time Lord monster in your graveyard, shuffle on the deck, and then set an Infinite Machine. Infinite Machine's effect is that you can activate this card by sending 1 face-up Empty Machine from your side of the field to the graveyard, and then once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. And then during your main phase, you can special summon a Time Lord from your hand, and you can target 1 Time Lord monster in your graveyard, shuffle it in the deck, and then set an Infinite Light. Infinite Light's effect lets you special summon or send 1 Infinite Machine from your field to the graveyard, and then when you do, you can activate this card. And this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and neither player can target Time Lord monsters you control with card effects, or return Time Lord to the deck, which is cool. And then once per turn, if you control no monsters, you can special summon a Time Lord from each your hand, deck, and graveyard with different names, ignoring their summoning conditions. So you just instantly summon 3 Time Lords from anywhere, and you pretty much win the game. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. Again, you don't super need the extra deck, but I'm going to show you a suggestion list of cards that you can play as 3 ofs, 2 ofs, however you want to play them, just for the extra deck. So we're going to play Juggernaut Libby just to be able to OTK our opponent. Juggernaut Libby can go up to 6,000 attack and attack multiple times. Number 81 can be able to be immune to certain effects, which is super nice. Gustav Max is one that I highly recommend. I highly recommend that you play the Train Engine at the very least in the extra deck, because these these are going to really help out. Just being able to do that 2k damage and putting a 3200 beat stick on the field and a 6000 beat stick to be able to OTK your opponent is really nice to be able to do, just to OTK your opponent. Now, another card that I recommend is number 35, Ravenous Tarantula. For every time if you have less life points than your opponent, or all monsters gain attack equal to the difference between your life points and your opponent's life points. So if your opponent has like 100 life points and you have 8,000, this card gains 7,900, and it makes all your other monsters gain that much attack points as well, which is really cool. And then when an XYZ monster, or when this, while this card has XYZ materials, each time your opponent special summons a monster, you inflict 600 points of damage to your opponent. And then once per turn, you detach a material from this card and destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to this one's. So that's going to be really big. Topologic Dragon is really good because if you special summon or normal summon a Time Lord to a position this card points to, it's fine. But if a monster special summoned to a zone this points to, it destroys all monsters on the field, which is really good because your Time Lords can't be destroyed, so it just shuts your opponent down. Boral Sword just to OTK, just in case you can go into this card. Appaloosa, again, just kind of one of those in case you can go into it cards. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos is really good just to banish stuff in case you need to. Trisbania, you're not really setting anything on your side of the field except for the Infinite Machine cards, your Just Desserts, and your copies of Wave Motion Cannon. So you can kind of play around with Trisbania if you can go into it. It's just kind of in a pinch you need it. One copy of Unicorn just to bounce stuff. Phoenix to pop spells and traps. Cerberus to pop monsters. And then this is a card that I highly recommend that you guys play in the deck. And that's a single copy of Herald of Mirage Light. Herald of Mirage Light is really good because when a spell or trap is activated, you can quick effect send a fairy, which all of your Time Lords are fairies, from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation if you destroy it, which is really good. The other effect is ritual based, so you don't really need that. But it's really good. One copy of Link Rebo just because of Time Maiden, and a single copy of Relinquish Anima again for Time Maiden. So the cards that I recommend that if you're going to play the Extravagance build, the ones that I would really recommend that you play at least in the extra deck is the Link Rebo, the Train Engine, Ravenous Tarantula, and the Herald of the Mirage Light. These positions up here can be interchanged however you want. If you want to play multiples of the other one because you feel like you're banishing them, totally do that. If you want to play a toolbox variant like I do, play it just like this. It's totally fine. However you want to play it. If you don't have some of these cards, that's okay. Just as long as you have from here over. If you have Mirage, Link, Relinquished, and Ravenous Tarantula, and then the Train Engine, you're okay. So, that's it for the deck, guys. Unfortunately, it's really hard to work in the Time Lord Synchro monster. I've really been trying to figure that one out, but it's a level 10 monster, and you can't really put it in here because they're all level 10 to Synchro into it. You have to really work around it with like cost down and stuff like that. It's just not worth it in this deck. So, anyways, guys, that's it for the deck. I hope you did enjoy it. Definitely tell me what you think about it down in the comments down below. It's a really, really fun deck to play around with. It's really easy. If you want to teach somebody to play with Yu-Gi-Oh, this is probably one of the decks I would give them and just be like, here, this is how you play the deck. So, anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on the income bar notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.